Oh my God.
Hey, you know we're on the air, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Are you getting your fix with those?
Yeah.
I mean, you were like sexually enjoying those.
I kind of was a little bit. Sorry. Yeah, I love Jelly Bellies.
Really couldn't tell.
This is not a paid.
Right.
This is not a paid endorsement. Really.
Kind of weird that. I think I just heard your sex noises.
You might have.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. We can cut that later.
Be good humans. Be good humans. Be good humans, or we will think you suck. Be good humans. Be good humans. Be good humans, or we will think you suck.
Yeah, I love Jelly Bellies, man.
Yeah.
I kind of love sweets in general. It's a problem.
Sweet tooth, big sweet tooth?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Life is hard, Brian, in a lot of ways, and yet I find that a Jelly Belly, for example,
Right.
is just a quick vacation for your mouth. You can just right.
A vacation for your mouth.
By the way, Jelly Belly, you can feel free to use that.
If you'd like, you've got about a half a bag left there. If you like, we can just wait. I'll just sit here and
I'm sorry.
go ahead and enjoy.
I'll put them down.
No, I loved watching you enjoy
I'll
these.
tell you what, I'm going to put them down, but every once in a while,
Yeah.
just to punctuate things
have
as we
to.
move on, I'm just going to try another flavor. This is the tropical mix, which I prefer because then it eliminates the pesky popcorn and licorice flavors, which I'm not a big fan of.
No.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Let's go with
You want to
that.
talk about sweets? Let's talk about sweets.
Yeah,
Where do
what-
you stand on sweets?
Me personally.
Yeah, you like them?
To be honest, I guess I'm lucky that I've never really had a sweet tooth. I believe it or not, I was the kid that loved the taste, but I couldn't finish a whole Snickers bar or a Milky Way because it was just so rich.
Really?
But so like 1-2 bites, great. Even to this day, I'm on a date and it comes time for dessert, and I'm secretly hoping that she will order a dessert so I can have one bite.
Right.
And I'm not holding myself back, not for dietary reasons. It's just like, get that taste. That's great. And then a lot of it just makes me it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, you'll at least try a bite. And you You kind of
I look forward to it. And pancakes the same way. I hope somebody orders pancakes for breakfast so I can have that one bite.
Well, pancakes are the dessert of breakfast.
That's true.
But let me, okay, so let's stay with the desserts, because never mind the candy. That's just like a quick fix.
Well, if
but
we're moving on from candy, I just do want to say there's another one that the candy. I don't know. You've ever had them? I got the Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah,
Been
sure.
around since we were kids.
Yeah.
They now put potato chips in there.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, those.
Yeah.
I'll take a couple of bites
So
of those
you like
anytime.
the sweet and savory combo.
Sweet and savory, salty and sweet and salty. Yeah.
But if you had to have,
which was my nickname in college. Sweet.
there were so many college nicknames.
I do. Yeah.
So if you had to have a dessert, even if it was one you were going to share, are you like a fruit dessert guy or like a chocolate dessert kind of person? What are your favorites?
Chocolate's fine. Usually, if I'm gonna go that way, fruit. What's the point?
That's pro fruit or anti fruit?
No, anti-fruit. Like if I'm gonna go, like let's eat some sweets, like fruit. I can get an apple later, but I love ice cream, but actually, specifically speaking, gelato.
Oh,
I am
Brian.
in love with gelato.
Oh, again,
that's a treat.
Not a paid endorsement, but there's a relatively new joint in Tarzana in the San Fernando Valley, where it's called Anita, and they do like full tilt, authentic Italian gelato, where it's not only are all of the flavors delicious, but they're presented in the most beautiful, heaping piles of sweet deliciousness. I got to bring you there because you will totally dig that.
I was in Miami recently and waiting to get on a ship. Went on a rock cruise with some friends, but we spent a couple of nights in Miami just to walk around and they had a gelato place right kind of about a half a block away from the hotel. So I go in there and it was such a great experience, and not the least reason it was a great experience is because the girl behind the counter was so happy and so helpful and just so sweet, and that just I'm buying something.
Sure,
even if I don't like, I'm buying it.
Yeah, of course.
But she goes, "Well, what's your favorite?" I go, "Well, gelato, vanilla, or I like pistachio a lot."
Pistachio.
Oh yeah, that's my fave. And she goes, "We have two." And I go, "Okay." She shows me the regular pistachio, of course, gives me the sample with a little spoon. And then she goes, "Now, follow me."
Oh, this could be like the greatest pickup story ever.
I love that possibility. But she walked me down the glass case, and I looked down, and there is pistachio ice cream with kind of crisscrossed white chocolate on top. Ooh. And I like white chocolate a lot more than dark chocolate. But it was heavenly. It was so good.
Yeah, I mean these are highbrow desserts we're talking about, right? What about when you were a kid? What were your favorite sweets then, or did you have any?
I like candy. I like baked goods.
Yeah.
I just couldn't eat a bunch of them because it made me I didn't feel good afterwards. But my mom had the go-to.
Yeah.
My mom's world famous M&M cookies.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now this is basically a butter cookie.
Sure.
And she puts M&Ms in there.
Yeah. That's an old standard.
It is
an
an old
favorite.
standard and delicious. But the fun thing is, over time, she kept adding ingredients, and usually by request.
Okay.
She would add ingredients.
Yeah, so she's customizing the experience for the kids.
One of my favorite foods is nuts of any kind, but walnuts. So she would put with the M&Ms big chunks of walnuts in these cookies. One of my sister's favorite foods were the Nestle's chocolate chips.
Oh yeah,
those
sure.
things.
So it's a chocolate chip cookie now.
She put chocolate chips along with the M&Ms and my walnuts.
This is like the everything cookie.
Right. Well, the problem was eventually so many goodies, so many extra goodies went into these cookies that something had to go. And this is true.
And that would be the cookie, I guess.
Basically, yes. Very insightful, because what she ended up doing was reducing the amount of dough in these cookies. So basically, what I'm saying is, and this is true, the cookie dough became sort of, nothing more than a bonding agent.
Yeah.
Basically, just sticking everything together. That's what it was used
you
for.
could probably accomplish the same thing just pouring some M&Ms and some nuts and some chocolate chips into someone's hand and then they call it a cookie.
Basically, yeah. But but those were the go-to. Everybody wanted them, and she was it made her feel great. She was so proud of those.
You can't beat a mom-baked cookie.
Oh, yeah. How about you?
Well, yeah, I mean, the only way you might be able to beat a mom-baked cookie is with a Little Debbie product.
Little Debbie's,
Little Debbie of Chattanooga, Tennessee. God bless Little Debbie. I was a big fan of the Swiss cake rolls and also the Devil's squares or whatever they were. And I just remember, because I was a latchkey kid, right? So I would come home with the little key around my neck and unlock the door. Both my parents are at work, and I would go into the pantry and I would get a box of Swiss cake rolls, and then I would go flip on Gilligan's Island reruns or whatever.
Right.
And then cut to, oops, I just finished a box. Like I would just, I had a metabolism then.
Yeah.
I guarantee I took years off my life with Little Debbie.
I'm from the Chicago area. And when I went to school up there, the Entenmann's factory was there. And you drive by, you're on a freeway. I forget it's been a while, but I forget the number of the freeway. But you're driving into the city, and it's industrial. It's all these factories and smoke coming out. But you get about a half a mile distance, you get a half a mile of smelling Entenmann's.
No, I actually equate this with you, and I know I've never told you this, but when I first moved to Los Angeles, I had a little flea bag apartment in Los Feliz that was down the road from a Hostess factory. And so while I would be listening to you on the radio in the mornings, I would be smelling, little powdered donuts, basically. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And C's Candy was right across.
Oh, yeah, right next to KLOS.
Right next to KLOS. And so, about once or twice a week, I'd get to work at about 4:30 in the morning, and oh my God, that smell, it just made me so
that's
feeling hungry.
C's Candy, which is a Southern California, for anybody who doesn't live here, a beloved Southern California sweets or confectionery institution. That brings to mind, though, what about regional desserts where you grew up, or maybe in your family? Were there any sort of family specific or regionally popular desserts that come to mind?
Just like I said, my mom's cookies, regionally, I tell you what I didn't like was anything with marshmallow and like moon pies.
Oh,
and
really? You don't like moon pies?
I don't. I just don't.
I love moon pies.
Even camping with my friends, Boy Scouts or whatever, we'd make s'mores, of course, and it would just be a piece of chocolate inside 2 pieces of graham cracker. Not cooked or anything, just because I can't stand marshmallows.
That's interesting. Yeah, my dad, to this day, his favorite dessert is, and this sounds horrific, but he would like get a spoon, like a big serving spoon, and get a glop of peanut butter and put it on his plate.
Ooh.
And then use the back of the spoon to create a little depression in the top, and then he would fill that depression with maple syrup, like a lake of maple syrup that would just sort of
that works.
That was his dessert.
That kind of works though.
That was his dessert, and maybe he learned these sorts of sweet skills from my grandma, who is legendary in our family for making something called chocolate gravy. Now, this is, I think it's also known by the name of depression gravy in certain parts of the South, because, as was the case with my grandma, who's still with us, God bless her, she had many siblings and a poor family who really could afford to feed their kids maybe one meal of the day before they would not only have to work in the fields, but then go to school. So they needed to give the kids something that would give them some energy, right? But also something that was affordable. So chocolate gravy, if you can imagine the consistency of like white country gravy, except you're using cocoa powder in the mix, so that you have like a runny chocolate pudding that you then pour over biscuits. And that's your meal. Now, of course, I'm sure growing up in the Depression, the way she did, this would not necessarily be something that they would look forward to eating every single day. But city kids that we were, by the time we were growing up, like that was a big treat to have chocolate gravy.
Well, we have relatives. So again, Dad would fill the car full of family and drive from Illinois down to Arkansas. So we had relatives down there. And it was my uncle's family, his father and mother, and they lived, in this little 2-room house.
Right.
They had a pot-bellied stove.
Oh, this is country living.
Country living. They had a pot-bellied stove and and an outhouse. They called it 40 acres. Got to go to 40 acres, and you're walking through. So it was kind of an adventure for me as a little kid.
Sure.
And by the way, they had 2 nice things. Always a brand new, gigantic color TV.
Oh, of course.
And a white Cadillac that they kept renewing. So those were the 2 things, but the rest was just kind of bare bones. But I'll never forget the breakfasts, the biggest meal of the day for them. The breakfasts with the bacon and the eggs and the grits and just everything, the sausage. But also in the center, there was always a huge bowl of chocolate pudding.
Oh, see?
Or what did you call it?
Chocolate gravy. Maybe they just let theirs sit a little longer.
Maybe, yeah. And, like my sweet tooth, I just take a couple bites and okay, that's weird, but it's kind of cool. My little brother, I'm 7 or 8. He is 5 or 6. My little brother, his eyes every morning, he couldn't wait. His eyes would just like get big as saucers, like, I'm having chocolate. So that's all he ate.
Chocolate pudding on the table.
Chocolate pudding.
Yeah.
For 3 days.
Maybe not the healthiest choice.
For 3 days, chocolate pudding. The final day we're there, we're leaving right after breakfast. Jeff has more chocolate pudding.
Okay.
So we load the car up, we say our goodbyes, we get about half hour down the road.
Oh, no.
And we realized that the back seat, where my brother was suddenly filling up with something that looked an awful lot like chocolate pudding. It was horrible.
I would just like to offer a sincere apology to our viewers and listeners right now for putting that image in your brains. But thank you, Brian.
Sure, you're welcome. My pleasure. Anytime.
It occurs to me that now you have forced my hand to ask you what is perhaps the most important question in life.
Oh.
Right? I know. We've waited a few shows in for me to ask this.
We're going there now.
We're going to go there. I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to tell you, if you answer this question wrong, it might not only mean the end of our show, but it could spell the end of our friendship.
Oh, no. This is pressure.
Yeah. You ready?
Okay. Yeah, but I'm supposed to answer honestly.
You got to answer honestly.
And I'm not. Okay.
Here it goes. You ready?
Yeah.
Cake or pie?
Okay. I will answer honestly.
Think carefully. Cake or pie?
I don't know what your answer is. I know what the most popular of the 2 is, but I will tell you, cake or pie. I'm a pie guy.
Oh, thank God.
Whew.
Oh, I'm going to celebrate with a Jelly Belly.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Belly up, brother.
That is great news. Yeah,
no.
I'm pie all the way.
Cake is like, I don't know, a graduated cotton candy to me. It's just like,
It's fine.
It's okay.
It's your birthday
The icing's
or something.
nice, but that's about it. No,
Yeah.
pies. I love pies.
Pie, man. Pie is where it's at.
Favorite pie, blueberry pie. Cold blueberry pie.
Oh, cold pie is key.
With vanilla ice cream, vanilla bean ice cream on top.
You double down on the cold.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Because then when it's cold, the ice cream doesn't melt as quickly.
Exactly.
I follow the logic.
Yeah.
Okay, blueberry pie.
Yep.
I see you and I raise you to key lime pie.
Oh, okay. The grill. Again, not an advertisement.
Oh, yeah, the grill.
Grill on the alley in
Yeah.
Beverly Hills.
Mhm.
The best key lime pie I've ever had.
Key lime pie. I'm a fan of cherry pie. I think there was a now sadly defunct place in Pasadena that used to make this incredible chocolate banana pie that had a chocolate graham cracker crust, but it was banana with chocolate flakes on. Oh my God. But pie is just the ultimate comfort food.
Yeah.
Right? I can never get enough pie, but
I've never heard anybody say that.
you want me to
The
say it
way
again?
you said it.
Let me I'll drive it right down the barrel. I can never get enough pie. But I will tell you this. Sometimes, although pie is the ultimate comfort food, Brian, sometimes it's more than that. And so after we take a quick break and I eat the rest of these Jelly Bellies, we're going to meet somebody who is ready to slice into exactly what I mean when I say sometimes it's more than just comfort.
And that is next on the Be Good Humans podcast.
Be good humans, be good humans, be good humans, or we will think you suck.
Hey, you are not eating my Jelly Bellies. You can eat my Jelly Bellies. That's fine. No, yeah, it's all. I will share.
No, I
Only.
don't want to take anything away from you.
No,
So if
you
you're
know
going to
what?
be like that, I'll just say,
Oh gosh!
you know what?
Wow!
I don't even
am
like Jelly Bellies, but I was going to have one because they look kind of good.
I am a truly bad human.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
I should have shared my
I'm not
Jelly
gonna do it.
Bellies.
You
All
start
right.
off with activity, I'll go with negativity.
Okay, just to counter my truly bad human status for not sharing, we are proud and privileged to welcome to the Be Good Humans podcast, Rose McGee. And let me tell you about this woman, Brian. She's incredible. Rose is a recent Bush Fellow. She's a children's author. She's a playwright. But probably way sweeter than all of that.
Yeah.
She is the founder of Sweet Potato Comfort Pie. This is an organization that is headquartered in the Twin Cities area of Minnesota. Rose, and you will love this, is a self-described Baketivist. Right?
A Baketivist.
A Baketivist.
All right, that's pretty cool.
Who created this incredible organization whose work includes all kinds of cultural and creativity-based programs that basically heal and uplift people in a way that I'm prepared to say even the best pies couldn't do on their own.
And let me tell you, we won't get into it right away, but I will sometime during our interview with this wonderful woman.
Yeah.
I know a secret about her.
Oh, good. Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
That's excellent. Rose McGee, welcome to Be Good Humans.
Well, thank you. My goodness, you guys are awesome. What a wonderful title, Be Good Humans. Yeah, that's what this is about.
We try. I mean, I need to be better about sharing my Jelly Bellies with
Can you
my
believe
partner.
that? I
know.
can't believe.
I really shouldn't have shut him
It
down.
wasn't like I had a handful. It was just the green one.
But you know what? I'll take you out for pie afterward.
All
Listen,
right.
That's what I was thinking. It's not the right treat. If it were pie,
That's
he
right.
would be all in.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
You're so right about that. Rose, there's probably nobody better to serve up the story of exactly how you got started with Sweet Potato Comfort Pie than you. So if you wouldn't mind, would you please take us back to 2014 and tell us about the honestly bitter event that inspired your particularly sweet movement?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it was another time in our, history in this environment where we had seen this horrible situation where another young Black man had been killed. And for me, I don't know why I felt compelled to do something after young Michael Brown was murdered, because there have been so many things, but I kind of say that maybe it had to do with having watched the whole ordeal of Trayvon Martin's murder case, and knowing that, in our opinions, that justice hadn't been served properly. I don't know. I just know that when this hit, like others, I felt the pain of the mothers and the grandmamas and the
Of course.
folks who were aching over this child. That's my baby laying out there in the streets in this heat. And, it was quite some time before his body was removed. But whatever the situation was, I felt compelled to respond. And I knew I wasn't going to go down there and be in the streets with the protests. That was something certainly that I have done. But I just felt, well, what can I do? And this voice spoke to me just as clearly, and being a woman of faith, I responded to it. And it wasn't like, I'm hearing your voices now, but it was an internal voice that spoke to my heart that said, make some pies and take them down there. And I thought that was the most ridiculous thing. So I'm like, what?
I'm not listening to myself.
Yeah, by the way, there's nothing ridiculous about that to me.
It doesn't make sense. So I got up and I went in the kitchen and I just walked around my kitchen a little bit, and I heard it again, make some pies and take them down there. And all of a sudden, rather than thinking rationally, I thought about, all right, I was thinking from my heart, I believe, and decided, yes, I will do that. And so I began trying to figure it out and lay out the plan, because I'd never driven to this particular part of Missouri, but it turned out
from Minnesota.
From Minnesota.
All the way from Minnesota.
Yeah. So you had this idea, and now
what?
You fill the car with pies, and you drive from Minnesota down to Missouri.
I did. I filled a car with about 30 in the trunk of my car. My son happened to have been in town, and I asked him if he wanted to ride with me. But I did make a phone call to a pastor in that area to see if, he had any guidance. And he said, yeah, I do have someone you can contact. So that's how I felt more comfortable with where I was going, and no idea what I was going to do when I got there. So that's how it started. And one of the things I didn't do was just go up and say, here, take this pie. But I would ask if you'd like a sweet potato pie. And people would look at me like, are you serious? A sweet potato pie?
Yeah, because you might not take candy from strangers, but I, for one, would take a sweet potato pie from a stranger.
I don't know. But, it was boxed in the boxes that you will see images of, and open the box, and the beautiful aroma comes out, which surprises me sometimes how nice it smells. And there's always a heart on top. So people would usually be very receptive to that. And I remember her name was Brittany Jones, and she's a young lady that was standing there at this, makeshift memorial there in the street where young Michael's body had been. And I saw her standing there just arguing with him. You should have been home. You shouldn't have been out here that day. And I walked over to her, because at this time, things had calmed down by the time I arrived. We were all wondering what was going to happen, and people that lived in the area were now inside their homes. There was certainly, the appearance of the burnings and the looting and all that. But a lot of people were also just still in shock and trying to understand what to do next. So on this particular day, it was pretty empty. It was a beautiful day. And she's standing there, and I walked over to her and asked her if she knew Michael. And she said, yes, we grew up together. He lived right there. And back there, she was pointing to the apartments where his grandmother had lived. And so as a result of that, I asked her if she would like a pie. And she looked at me like, what? And I said, yeah, if you'd like one, I'd love to give you one. So I went to my car and brought one back to her. And she opened the box, and the aroma just came out. It shocked me too. It smells so good.
Yeah.
And then she said, it smells so good and it looks so pretty. And then just like that, she fell in my arms and started crying.
Oh.
And that's how it was for the rest of that journey.
This is extraordinary, Rose, and you know, again, if you're just joining us, this is 2014. This is the terrible death of Michael Brown Jr. in Ferguson, Missouri. This is a community, not just locally, but across the country, that is ignited by pain and grief. And Rose is trying to figure out some way that she could possibly be helpful. And you hear this voice in the back of your head that says, you know, bake a pie. And you don't stop there. You bake 30 pies and fill your car with them and take your son from Minnesota to Missouri. Let's back up, though, to that moment in the kitchen when you've got this voice talking to you. Did it specifically tell you to make a sweet potato pie, or is that just where you landed? And if so, why? What is it about sweet potato pie that spoke to you in that moment?
Well, it was the only pie I could make, so.
Well, that helps.
Yeah.
And where did that recipe come from? Handed down?
Yeah, it began with my grandmother. I grew up in rural Tennessee, Jackson, Tennessee, actually. And that pie was something that the women in the community just knew how to make. But the thing about most, people who cook, there's always going to be something that people really like that you make, right? So when it came to sweet potato pie, my grandmother's was usually one that people would ask for. Aunt Rosie's pie. Aunt Rosie's pie. And so here I am. I didn't grow up doing a lot of cooking. Actually, the thing that I cooked most was probably cornbread. I really was kind of good with cornbread.
Another favorite.
But I didn't do much cooking. I had other chores, and I was raised by my grandmother and my great-grandmother. And here I am now. I graduated from college, and I moved to Denver, Colorado, and I'm married. And I woke up one Sunday morning with this desire to make sweet potato pie and a blackberry cobbler. And I figured, it can't be anything to that. So I called my grandmother, because by then my great-grandmother had passed. And I said, well, Mom, I'd like to make a sweet potato pie and a blackberry cobbler. Can you give me the recipe? And she said, what recipe?
It's all up here.
Yeah, that's what she said. It's in my head, baby. And apparently it didn't transfer from her head to mine too well, because I made the biggest mess. It was horrible. And I threw them both out. I didn't want anybody to see it. And I felt compelled to try them both again. The sweet potato pie was not bad, but the blackberry cobbler was still horrible. And the next thing I knew, I just continued to make the sweet potato pie, and it continued to get better.
There you go. You worked out the kinks.
And then your sweet potato pie became the go-to.
A lot happened, though, over the course of miles and years, because I moved from Denver, and I moved to Minnesota. I ended up working with IBM Corporation. I'd been moved. So you're supposed to laugh at that. See, you're too young to know. IBM, it used to be that if you worked for IBM, the IBM was I've been moved, because everybody had to move.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Okay, hello. So anyway.
We're not smart enough to get that.
No, you're just not old enough to get that. But as it turned out, I started, and this is what I tell people, the pie started calling me long before I even knew it. Automatically, I would find myself, no matter where I was, and if sweet potato pie was on the recipe, I wanted to taste it. And if there was something unique about it, I'd ask, what's in it? So that's how I started acquiring other ingredients that worked, that tasted different.
Right.
So I had a pie once, and it was so rich. And it turned out that she used condensed milk instead of evaporated, which I'd grown up with. And then I had an assignment with IBM once in Florida. And I was having dinner at this woman's house, and it was so different, her pie. And I said, what's in it? And she starts telling me, and she says, let me think. Did I use orange, or did I use lemon, or did I use... And I'm like, what? So,
interesting.
Yeah, and that's when I learned about citrus acid later. So now with the recipe, if you use the lemon, At the end of putting all of your ingredients, it helps to smoothen out and balance out those spices so that one doesn't
Ah.
overpower the other unless you want one to, then you use more of that. But it just gives it a different flavor altogether.
Interesting. So you're perfecting your pie recipe over time, and then what a lot of people may not realize, Brian, and I didn't know this myself until we started preparing to meet with Rose, but there's a real historical significance to sweet potato pie, right? There's a fascinating history. Sweet potatoes come from South America. They first made their way into pies and tarts in Britain, and apparently they were a big favorite of Henry VIII. So very much
Yes.
a very much a bougie luxury dessert, right?
Yeah.
But then, like so many other things, sweet potatoes make their way to colonial America. They wound up getting grown on a lot of plantations, which of course were then grown and tended to by African slaves. And then those cooks started adding their own tastes and passing down recipes, like the one that Rose got from her grandmother and then perfected over time until these recipes basically pass through generations of Black families and really become, if I'm not mistaken here, Rose, deeply linked to Black culture in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. I consider it the sacred dessert of Black culture. And that's what I call it, because no matter where you are, if you really are into our culture, our food culture, sweet potato pie is going to be there somewhere. And if it's not there, it's because people don't know how to make it. So that's been one of the things. It's one of those things that has happened. It's a hard, process. It's not like you just go in and you just throw up a pie just like that unless you really know what you're doing. You've got to cook the
Right.
potatoes, and you've got to mix the ingredients, and then it's got to bake, and then it's got to cool off and set for a while. So it takes time. And when you make a pie, you don't make just one unless you
Yeah.
only want one. But a general recipe will make two pies. So this is what I've been teaching people over the past few years also, that if you're going to use the recipe and make two pies, gift one of them to somebody. Gift one of them to
There you go.
somebody, and you can keep the other one for yourself if you want to eat it by yourself or share it with anybody else.
So Rose, there you are. You're in Missouri, and you really kind of drove down not knowing what to expect. You just, you had some very loving, made with care, wanting to help sweet potato pies. But then the lady opens the box, smells the aroma, and falls into your arms. And this happened over and over again as you're there. Talk about what happened then afterwards. What led you to what you do now?
Well, if you can imagine meeting people, and I didn't know who I was going to meet along this way on this journey. And I remember I went out to dinner, and it had been a long day, and we've been gifting pies here and there, just gifting them depending on who it felt like I should. And I'm in line at a very popular restaurant that we know all about it on television, this particular restaurant, which is why the line was so long. And there was this Black family right in front of me, and it was obvious that they were celebrating something. And I finally just said, I can hear that you all are having a good celebratory time. What's happening? Congratulations, And they didn't tell me mind your own business. They just said, we're celebrating. Somebody said, this is my niece, and she just graduated from nursing school. And I said, well, congratulations. Good for you. And then she said, yes, ma'am. And this is the first time I've been out because my baby was born preemie and has been in the hospital for the last 2 months. And this is the first time I've really gotten out to enjoy that I got this degree now.
Sure.
And I just got chills when she told me that story. And I said, I'm so proud of you. And because I had a baby too that was in the hospital for 3 months. And he did pass away. But I could imagine what it must have been like for her traveling back and forth to this hospital every day to see her baby, and she's still trying to study. And we all went in and we had our lunch. our dinner,
Okay.
right? As I
Yeah.
was leaving, I looked over and saw them, and I went over to her table and I
Mm.
said, "Congratulations to you again." And she just looked so happy. And that's when I asked her if she would like a pie. And here we are in this restaurant, right? Who probably had a very good sweet potato pie. And I said, "I will go and get one for you in my car." And I came back and gave it to her, and she just started bawling, just like that.
What is clear, Rose, here is that for all the effort you have put into perfecting your sweet potato pie over time, probably the most important key ingredient is empathy. You are approaching strangers you meet in the street and in restaurants, and you are, in a simple act of humanity and grace, you are feeling a need in them, and you are filling that need on some level with a pie of all things. And if we have this right, since this first series of experiences in Missouri, you have delivered more than 4,000 pies across the country, often in response to racially driven events, whether it's in Charleston or Pittsburgh or Standing Rock or right there at home in Twin Cities. But your work has expanded, hasn't it? It's not just limited to sweet potato comfort pie at this point. You're doing all kinds of things to sort of try and heal damage that is caused by race-based trauma, to try and elevate marginalized voices and experiences in all kinds of other ways. Talk to us more about how this mission has gotten bigger for you than just making an amazing sweet potato pie.
Volunteers, volunteers. I can't say that enough. And even with what you just mentioned with the 4,000, that includes this. I personally didn't make all 4,000. It's people making these 4,000 and teaching people how to. And, somebody says it's been more than 4,000, Rose, you need to elevate that number. I said, okay, we'll do that. But when COVID happened, in March of 2020, I was at my home wondering, how am I going to, what? So I decided to just start making pies and putting them on my front porch. And I put them in the plastic bags, with plastic gloves. And I put the word out on Facebook or whatever and say, anybody who would like to pick up pies to take to a first responder that feel free to come and pick it up.
Remarkable.
And so that happened. And then a few weeks later, George Floyd is murdered. And all of that is happening right during COVID. So during the midst of all of that is when I felt the urge to go online and invite people to make pies with me online. And that's what they did. And I said, the recipe you're making makes 2 pies because they have the recipe. So run onto the store and we're going to tune back in on Facebook Live at this particular time and see where we go. And what happened then was I decided to, this was on a Sunday night, and Monday I made the announcement to them that night, why don't you join me, those of you who live locally, at 6:00 tomorrow, Monday, and we're going to take these pies up to where Mr. George Floyd was murdered, and we'll gift them to people. I was shocked when I looked outside my house that day and there was a line of vehicles. I'm like, oh my. And I went out and I'm like, okay, thank you all for being here. And they said, well, what are we going to do, Rose? What's the plan?
Well, let me interject a question for you. At this point, did you know how many followers you had?
No.
No,
I haven't paid any attention to that. I really did not.
Eye-opening.
But you were clearly connecting with people who also had a need to help, felt that desire and felt that frustration and wanted to try and channel it into something positive, try and put some kind of love in the universe when it's particularly dark all around you. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that these people show up at your house, but then you speak to the you speak to the volunteerism there. Like it seems like you really sort of created a movement, right? That born from this has become story circles and speaker series and healing retreats and workshops and all kinds of like community-based artistic productions. It has grown into something so much bigger than just a pie, right?
I could say that, some of this stuff that I'm now starting to do, I've been doing all along. And it's
Sure.
it's like, oh gosh, yeah, story circles. It makes sense
Hmm.
that when we bring people together over pie, that we
Mm-hmm.
allow you to take some time in circle and have these conversations with each other. And
Mm-hmm.
this play that I wrote, this is the season, Juneteenth. I wrote this
Mm-hmm.
play 28 years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
now, it's starting to get greater visibility. And we
Mm-hmm.
want it one day to be on stage on Broadway. You all can make that happen, please. Go right ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, call
Right
somebody.
on it.
We'll even settle for off Broadway. It's all right.
Okay.
The idea is that people get a chance to learn about a piece of history that was
Mm-hmm.
omitted, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't stop there. It's this resurgence that folks have to survive and to make it no matter what appears to be hopeless. And
Sure.
we that's what it's about. And now, when I do any kind of presentation, always have, I try to inspire young people to tap into their own um, gift. What is it? What is
Mm-hmm.
that light that's
Right.
in your life? And now
Yeah.
that I'm an elder, I try to do the same thing with older people too, so that people don't allow age. It's easy to say, oh, I can't do that because I'm just too old. And that may be true in some ways. But if there's something that that you really want to do, it doesn't matter how old you are. You go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Wow.
That's great advice.
You're amazing, Rose. As powerful and meaningful as all of your work is, I know for a fact that there are plenty of people watching and listening right now who are also going to want, first and foremost, your sweet potato pie recipe. So rest assured, we're going to post that recipe for 2 pies. It's key that you make 2 pies. We're going to post that recipe on our YouTube channel and on our website. But
Mm-hmm.
Rose, can you also give our viewers and listeners, who I'm sure have an appetite for something bigger than just pie, some ideas on how they can help support you and your work with Sweet Potato Comfort Pie?
I really appreciate you asking that, because we never asked for this. I never asked for this. I just felt like I needed to do something. And now that it's there, we have people wanting more. And
Sure.
Hmm.
what I'm finding is what I don't feel like doing really is it takes resources for that. So feel
Sure.
free
Yes.
to make a donation if you'd like, and just go on our website, sweetpotatocomfortpie.org. You're welcome to do that. We also welcome volunteers, but I would love to be in any city, any community where I can just come and share this story with you. And you can call us and we can have a virtual conversation if you want to. I mean, I've had schools say, we want to do this in our school. And I have to tell you the story, it's such beautiful. And there's several student stories that are beautiful. But this particular one is a middle school in Minnesota here, and they had been every year around the November Thanksgiving holiday time frame. Their
Mm-hmm.
students would gather clothing and articles and things to be taken to a nearby shelter.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But because of COVID, they couldn't do that. The shelter wouldn't accept items. So they'd
Right.
heard about the pies and they wondered, how can we take this project and do something with it because it's such a moving project? So I went in and I spoke with students, and then they decided we'll just make the pies through the family consumer science class. In my day,
Yep.
it was called home economics. And
Yes.
so,
Right. I thought it still was family.
no,
What
it's
is it?
family and consumer science.
A rose by any other name.
So here you have this group of students making the pies. And first they talk about how the whole school has this aroma. The whole school seems
Mm.
calmed down because of the smell that's all over the
Yeah.
school when they're making
Yeah,
these
it's actually a
pies.
place they want to be.
And then
Yeah.
they have the pies. They can't just sell the pies because they can't sell the pies, but
Right.
Right.
they have the pies available for donations. So
Mm.
teachers and parents and families come and they get a pie and make a donation. So that money from the donation is what they're able to give to the shelter. And the shelter is
Oh,
able to utilize it
fantastic.
how it needs to be done. So they've done that now for 3 years. And
How does that make you feel,
It just
Rose?
right now it's giving me chills just thinking about it because
Yeah.
Sure.
they made a lovely video. It increases each year, they say.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. So
Mhm.
listen, if you would like to find a way that you can be helpful to Rose and this incredible cause, sweetpotatocomfortpie.org. That is the website, and we will make sure that that appears on our site and the YouTube channel as well. Listen, Rose.
I loved you before, Rose, but when you said I don't usually ask, you know, like, you know, you know, if it comes up, like it did here, but that just, it makes you even more of a good human.
No.
That you're not plugging, you're not pushing, you're just sharing with not only us, but with everyone you come in contact with, your love of love.
Yeah, we want to thank you so much, Rose, for joining us, not just for being so sweet, but just for being such a positive force for healing and hopefully change. So you are, by our estimation, the very definition of a good human, and we might actually like you a little bit more than pie. A little bit.
Well, thank you. Thank you. This is what I want you to do. I want, between the two of you, somebody make a pie. Make a pie and please send a picture, a video or something to us so we can see it and put it on our website of the two of you. And let me tell you something. You can have the same recipe. I tell people all the time, it could be 10 people making the same recipe, and it's always going to be slightly different.
Like people.
It is. So the two of you are going to use my recipe, make the sweet potato pie, and you're going to be able to say, you didn't put this in it, did you? Oh, you added this, didn't you? Because mine doesn't taste like that.
Thank you so much, Rose. We're gonna sign off now and go make some pie. But again, sweetpotatocomfortpie.org is where you want to go.
Beautiful videos, wonderful messages.
Yeah.
And we just touched the tip of the iceberg on all the things that she is doing to bring people together. So enjoy that website. It's beautiful, and so are you.
Thank you very much, Rose.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Be good humans, be good humans, be good humans, or we will think you suck.
Oh my gosh, she's amazing.
Yeah, and do go to that website. It's truly a gift. Everything she's involved with, just because of that pie that she makes. I didn't get a chance to tell you the secret I know about her.
Oh yeah, what's the secret?
Look, in preparation for these episodes,
sure.
You do a lot of research, and I'm reading articles about her and seeing interviews, and she kind of says, with her, the corners of her mouth turned up a little bit. She goes, I make these pies, but I don't really like to cook that much, which I just cracked me up.
Wow, that truly is a labor of love.
But makes it even more special.
Yeah, 100%. Wow, well, that's amazing. Yeah, please go to our website. We will have the information there for how you can support Sweet Potato Pie Comfort. And while you're there, do us a favor. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click the like and subscribe. That would be helpful to us. And follow us on all the socials, Facebook and Instagram and Threads and TikTok. And
like us.
X, please.
Like and
please
subscribe.
Give us your likes. They really are helpful. So we appreciate that. And visit our website, begoodhumanspodcast.com. This is where you can not only tell us about good humans in your lives
that you think we might want to interview and talk to, just like we did Rose here.
That would be super cool. And then you can give us also some pointers while you're at it on how to be a good human. We're never above those.
I can tell you how to be a good human.
Oh, how?
If you share your gummy bears.
I would share them with you, but they've apparently disappeared.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm guessing Ryan didn't take them off camera.
Somebody
Sean, Grant, no.
Did someone take your... Oh, that's too bad.
I wonder who that might have been.
Did someone take your... Oh, that's horrible.
You know what? I tell you what.
Crime has been...
You know what? No. I've been inspired by Rose. Whoever took my Jelly Bellies, you may have them.
Awesome.
You may... okay, great. Listen, I think we're finished here. Other than one thing, which is always important to remind you to do, please, like Brian, be good humans.
Be good humans, be good humans, be good humans, or we will think you suck.
Be
Good Humans is executive produced by Brian Phelps, Trey Calloway, and Grant Anderson, with associate producers Sean Fitzgerald and Clementine Calloway in partnership with Straw Hut Media. Please like, follow, and subscribe, and remember, be good humans!